Wrestling fans, the 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive explodes into Christmas with 12 featured superstar guests. We can't bring you a live wrestling event due to COVID restrictions, but we'll be bringing you a series of cyber autograph signings and meet and greets. This Sunday night during WWE's Farewell to the Undertaker at Survivor Series, join former WWE Intercontinental and Tag Team Champion Marty Jannetty for a live cyber autograph signing and watch-along. You never know what to expect with Marty live. Get a personalized autograph from Marty Jannetty signed live on the air and mailed to your home. Join us now through mid-December as the superstars help us continue our mission to update Santa Claus's GPS to find every kid's house this Christmas, put smiles on faces while honoring Paul Bearer's memory. VIP packages are still available. Don't worry if you've missed a live superstar signing. Every star is signing enough photos and posters while they're in Boston to fill VIP packages through December the 19th. Whether for your wrestling collection or to give as a holiday gift, if you're going to take part in any toy drive this year, please help our 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive. Visit BostonWrestling.com and our social media platforms for complete event and toy drive information.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to a bonus edition of Wrestling Insiders as we review the results and news from the Wednesday, November the 18th, 2020 edition of WWE NXT from the Capitol Wrestling Center in Orlando, Florida, and AEW Dynamite from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. It's chilly outside this afternoon here at MWF Studios in downtown Melrose, Massachusetts. The zip code of Champion 02176, but let me tell you, our Goodwill Ambassador Quincy is fired up. At the top of the hour, get ready to party with Marty on Wrestling Insiders as Marty remembers ribs pulled on Nick Bockwinkel as AWA champion, then as a WWF agent, which was short-lived, along with Luke Williams and Butch Miller going from ultra-violent sheep herders to fun-loving bushwhackers as Marty Jannetty continues to break down his early days in the WWF in 1988. Don't forget that Marty will be back with us, L-I-V-E, live this Sunday, November the 22nd, during the final farewell of The Undertaker at Survivor Series. That's probably the only anything of note at Survivor Series this year. There's not a lot of buzz around Survivor Series other than the farewell to the Taker. As part of our 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive Cyber Fanfest, Marty is one of a plethora of superstars that will be taking part in a live virtual autograph signing between now and mid-December. Pre-orders are available now at BostonWrestling.com. The superstars need your help in updating Santa Claus's GPS to find every kid's home this year and honor the memory of the late, great Paul Bearer. Earlier this week, if you missed it on Wrestling Insiders, Tony Atlas shot on Zelina Vega's release, unionization in pro wrestling, as well as Andrew Yang's interest in WWE's operations. Last night on the official premiere of Wrestling Insiders Rush Hour with recent WWE NXT Cruiserweight Champion Lio Rush, Lio discussed his youth, breaking into wrestling, unfortunately meeting the Velveteen Dream, and his extreme mental health battles. A very deep personal episode. Both are available now in the archives. After SmackDown goes dark tomorrow night at 10 p.m. in the Thunderdome, John Cena Sr.'s dome is lighting up as he shoots on Big E's potential as a top babyface on SmackDown, as well as the potential of WrestleMania 37 taking place with fans this April. Interesting to say the least. This Survivor Series Sunday, Vicky Guerrero of AEW joins us in studio for the very first time to look at the king of sports professional wrestling from a woman's point of view in a must-see shoot. Don't forget that VIP packages for the 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive Cyber Fanfest are flying. If you missed Leo and Tony Atlas's cyber signings and interviews, don't worry. They signed plenty of photos and posters for VIPs that will be included included in your packages. The interviews in the individual 8x10s, if interested, are available on BostonWrestling.com. As we prepare to run down the results, news, and views from AEW and NXT, the numbers are in from October, and thanks to you fine folks, we broke records across the board on the YouTube channel for the second straight month. From the bottom of our hearts, we say thank you, thank you, thank you. We need to continue the momentum. November has been mezza, still excellent, but we want to try and boost them as high as they can go. We put forth a lot of hard work to keep the lights on and continue to need your help. 3 simple ways you can help big time without it costing you a single penny. Number 1, as we always note, hit the share button. Share. Share the links to our videos on your social media pages. Text a friend. Email a friend if you still use email. If you're not worried to go outside and get within 6 feet of people, yell it out to a stranger. You never know who may enjoy this growing family of weekly in-studio shoot interviews. The ultimate vision would be to have a different guest with us 7 nights a week. Imagine the difference we could make in those legends and those veterans' lives to have that extra income during the worst of times right now with no live wrestling events, almost no personal appearances, but it's all about you guys. The formula is simple. I say it every week. Without professional wrestling fans, shows like this don't exist. Professional wrestling doesn't exist. Number 2, another thing you can do to help the cause at no cost is to hit the thumbs up button. The more people showing love to this in each of our videos, the more love YouTube shows to us by suggesting our videos to other fans. And number 3, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's absolutely free, provides you updates on all the new videos we have each week, as well as access to over 2,000 free videos. As always, we're interested in your thoughts on NXT and AEW from last night. We hope the whole gang is going to be with us here tonight live. We're talking about Slick Rick B up in Maine, Tina, Tania, whatever your real identity may be. The Pittsburgh Steelers' favorite girl, Maria Davis, Trigger Trey, all of the great Kevins from around the country that join us. Ken, when he behaves himself. Big Ant from Thunder Valley. Will Cortez, Vaughn, Lawson, and all of the regulars I'm forgetting about right now that we hang out with. There's so many of you now. Whether you're watching the premiere Thursday night at 9 or you're watching this in the archives, share your thoughts on the 2 shows using a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. Now that it's officially Christmas season, at least on television commercials and online ads, we got to get in a couple of cheap plugs before we go to the meat of the show. If you want early ad-free access to all of our Wrestling Insiders in-studio shoot interviews each week, access to our world-renowned studio shoot interview DVD series, and to simply help keep wrestling legends working, join the growing family over at Patreon at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Forgo a Starbucks cup of coffee and enjoy what I believe is now over 100 videos. You'll never have the pro wrestling blues this winter with Boston Wrestling Sports. We have upcoming Wrestling Insider episodes available now that you cannot see. We have a Patreon exclusive episode with Marty Jannetty that you won't find on YouTube. The big goal before the end of 2020 is to have 100 regulars on the Patreon. And with the quality and quantity of the shows we produce, I'm confident we can get the job done. I ask you, if you have not tried the Patreon yet, why haven't you? It's an inexpensive endeavor. There's a lot on there for you to enjoy, and we're interested to know what we can do to get more people to try and join the team. With the holidays coming up, it is never too early to start shopping in the eBay store. The link is in the description box below. We have an awesome collection of rare, autographed wrestling memorabilia for sale. Some brand new items have just been added, and every purchase on eBay, if you've noticed, on Wrestling Insiders at Your House with WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas, it comes with a on-air thank you from Tony. Where else are you going to have Tony shouting out to you? Well, hook us up in the eBay store, whether a gift for yourself or for the loved one, or maybe not so loved one on your gift-giving list this year. eBay is the place to be. Don't forget that Tony is available for commissioned artwork, prints, personal phone calls, cameo-style videos, autographs, and more. We got to help out the Hall of Famer who continues to be hurting through 2020. Finally, we have a really cool WWE T-shirt bundle fundraiser going on. The link is in the description box below. I say it every week. I don't think one human being could actually remember it. At bostonwrestling.com/shirts.html for the price of a regular T-shirt on WWE Shop. Not only do you get the T-shirt, but you get a WWE Cup. You get a mystery autograph photo, again, as well as that on-air shout-out from Tony Atlas thanking you. We've got brand new T-shirts of Bray Wyatt, Undisputed Era, Roman Reigns. We got the legends like Hulk Hogan, the Macho Man Randy Savage, Stone Cold Steve Austin, the NWO, and tons more. Help the show get yourself some new swag. And with that said, joining me now, my partner in crime on these review podcasts, Southwestern Connecticut's finest, Mr. Matt Degnan. All right, Matt, it was a big night last night in Jacksonville and Orlando. What are we going to break down first? I usually leave it at your discretion, NXT or AEW?
We'll do AEW.
All right, you always go with AEW first, it seems. But I leave it at your discretion. Let it roll. What do we got?
I like watching AEW live and then NXT after. But
that's usually what I do.
Last night I was watching the NBA draft, so I watch both after the fact. But we'll jump right into it.
Enlightening news, to say the very least. I'm sure that's going to warm Maria Davis's heart to know that.
Possibly, if she's an NBA fan.
As you chimed in very briefly during the Wrestling Insider's premiere of The Rush Hour with Leo Rush. But
Briefly. We'll get right into it with AEW. The Young Bucks defeated Top Flight to retain their AEW Tag Team titles to kick off AEW Dynamite at Daly's Place. I like the video package they played before the match on Top Flight. It was a good job to give them a background on a team they've barely showcased in the past couple weeks. Even though the Young Bucks were the ones that challenged Top Flight, I would have liked to see something of Top Flight within the past couple weeks, but they didn't want to do that. So they were kind of just thrown right on TV right away. It was a very good tag team match, to say the least, to open a okay show as we get into everything else that happened. I thought it was a little too spotty, but a good overall match. After the match itself, Angelico, however you want to say it, and Jack Evans, also known as TH2, attacked Top Flight for some reason. I'm sure they'll be setting up some match next week or the week after that in some cheap way, just to have Top Flight get attacked by TH2. Really made no sense, but I guess everything in wrestling today, someone has to be attacked in order to make a match. But what did you think of the opening?
Well, I thought the video package was very good. My only issue with it was that they should have run it last week to try and make they have a little bit more interest in the match this week. I would have tried to get Top Flight over last week to show that they actually exist, who they are to the fans, since they've never been on the television show before. I guess they're relying on fans to go on social media and the internet to try and do the research. But I think on the TV show, they should actually present who it is that they have coming in. I look forward to having Airwolf with us here in Boston Wrestling in the future. He was slated to actually make his debut with us at the Back to the 80s WrestleFest now, which we've unfortunately had to postpone twice due to COVID, but I think he's going to add a heck of a lot to our roster. I thought it was one of the better Young Bucks matches. Matt Jackson's injury right now, it's forced them to slow down the pacing of their match, and I think that only makes it better. The Young Bucks can do some great things. It's just, from my point of view, it's too fast. It's almost like a video game. This forced them to slow it down, sell it a little bit more, pace it a little bit more, and I thought it made for a better match. You could tell that Top Flight was a little green. They're still young guys at the ages, I believe they said, 19 and 21. I know, I think Darius is Airwolf's name. He's a really good guy. I do not know the brother, but you know what? They made it a debut. I'm sure they're going to be used again. If it was my booking, I would have rather have seen them actually have a match with Jack Evans and Angelico last week to actually earn a title match, have the match as they had it last night, losing to Young Bucks, and then have an angry Jack Evans and Angelico have a reason for attacking them last night to build up a future match between the two teams in the coming weeks. But again, that's one man's opinion, and like I say, believe it or not, Tony Khan did not call and ask for my opinion. My feelings were hurt, but it seems to be the case every week.
Usually the title fights don't set up the other feuds.
Right, exactly.
I mean, oh boy. The next segment, the Inner Circle partied in Vegas to celebrate MJF and Wardlow joining the group. Again, I was not a fan of the comedy that they are presenting with this group and the storyline of what they're doing. There was more later on in the night from Vegas between these individuals, but we'll get into that later. What did you think about the Inner Circle in Vegas?
It's kind of interesting. The first segment was better than the second one. I didn't particularly like it, but it was watchable. It wasn't as edgy as something as, say, Evolution would have done when they introduced that group, or if they did an Evolution vignette in Las Vegas with Triple H, Flair, Batista, and Orton. It was too hokey, maybe, if I was the one making the calls, but it wasn't bad enough that it wasn't watchable, I guess is the best way I can put it. I do have to say, though, that I know you're probably going to skip over it, but the AEW promotional package that aired during Sunday Night Football this week and that it repeated during AEW last night, what an exceptional video, and it's a great way. All right, well, I'm going to beat your notes then. I think it's a great way to get people that have no idea that AEW even exists to at least become familiar with the fact that at first there's a non-WWE wrestling brand out there on TV again, and what a better place to start airing it than NBC Sunday Night Football. And, again, to reinforce the fact with the fans last night with the longer version that ran during Dynamite.
Yeah, 'cause I was kind of shocked. I was watching football Sunday night, and I heard something about wrestling, and I was like, maybe it's WWE. Then I heard something about Revolution. I said, what is this? I looked up from my phone, and I saw it was AEW, and it was the one they did Sunday night was only about 30 seconds.
Right, it was short. Well, that's some expensive commercial time right there. But if you noticed on Sunday Night Football, they also had an ad for a Raw that no one really seemed to care much about, promoting the Orton and McIntyre match. But I really thought the AEW promotional package was very, 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 very good.
I thought it was solid and to the point. It was serious, which I like. I don't like sometimes when WWE does their commercials and they're kind of gimmicked a little bit. I like when they're serious and kind of to the point. But
you're reaching a whole new audience. I'm sure there's a lot of lapsed fans that were fans of wrestling during the boom era in the 1980s that have drifted away from wrestling that were watching that football game. I'm sure there were a lot of fans of the Attitude Era in the Monday Night Wars that have drifted away from sports entertainment that were watching that football game Sunday night. So again, if nothing else, it's a great way to try and tell people that don't know AEW exists that, hey, we're out here, we exist. Whether you like us or not, it's up to you, but maybe give us a shot on TNT. It's the same problem that we run into. We have the great fans that watch us each and every week. The numbers in September and October exploded, but there's millions of wrestling fans out there that have no idea we exist that might enjoy some of our talk shows. The question is, how can we reach them? But that's a different story for a different time.
With the help of those watching right now.
Like Lawson.
Well, a little bit of help there.
All right.
The next segment after the good promotional package they played, Jon Moxley cut a promo in what looked like a closet that was very well lit. Kind of like the opposite of what Aleister Black uses for his promos.
No one knocked, though.
Instead of a dark room, he's kind of in a well-lit closet. I don't know where they found it and why they did it in it, but I don't know. He goes from wandering around the halls of Daly's place, and now he's almost trapped in a closet that seems to have too much lighting in it. I don't know. He hyped up his match and contract signing that should have came later on in the show. In the promo, he throws in that his wife, Renee, is pregnant. We kind of just put it in there, saying his wife is at home pregnant. So
very nonchalantly.
Yeah, congratulations to them on having a kid. What do you think they're going to name it?
Mox.
Moxley.
Yeah, Moxley.
Yeah. I thought the promo was solid. I mean, the venue was a little weird of a choice, but I guess that's Moxley himself. But I thought it was a good promo.
I have to say that AEW has done a much better job with Jon Moxley / Dean Ambrose than WWE did. WWE never allowed Ambrose to show that style that he shows in AEW. I think it's more appealing. I think it's more edgy. I think it's far more interesting. The promos are far more realistic. Not everything that AEW does is perfect, but as far as what they've done with Jon Moxley, again, I like the execution better than when he was with the other company.
Very much so. And a lot of people seem to have the same thoughts as that as well. The next match, Orange Cassidy defeated Kip Sabian via roll-up. Yeah. I can never really get into Orange Cassidy matches, and I know you have the same thoughts as me, but I really think it was a solid match once they got past all the dumb shit that Cassidy does in the beginning of the match, with putting the hands in the pockets and doing the laydowns and all that stuff. I think once they got past all the chicanery, I thought it was a solid in-ring match for what these two can truly do, to get away from the comedy and the bullshit that they love to do just to fill time with Cassidy and his gimmick and whatever. I thought it was actually solid in-ring work that they did. After the match, Chucky T and Trent ran Miro and Kip Sabian out of the ring after Miro attacked Cassidy after the match. What did you think of this encounter between the two?
My top note was that it's everything that's wrong with the promotion. If you can get over the fact that top wrestling guys in 2020 are not all going to be 6'2", 250 pounds and up, I would look at Kip Sabian as someone that could be a future top-tier player for that company. To have him even going 50-50, never mind losing to a guy that puts his hands in his pockets, it's mind-blowing to me. Again, I'd be trying to groom Sabian as a top guy with Miro as his enforcer, so to speak. You know what? Instead, it's a guy that has an attitude, I don't care, and puts his hands in his pockets. I don't know why, even if they're for those that do find that fun, I would have him lose every match. I don't see what the point is in having actual athletes lose to a guy whose gimmick is, well, I'm going to put my hands in my pockets and shrug my shoulders. But, again, they didn't call and ask what I thought about it when they were putting the show together. Then even after the match, Miro, Rusev is a badass man. He comes in and destroys him. The announcers put over the fact that Miro just about killed Cassidy, and then Cassidy stood up 3 seconds later. So the lack of selling is not good, but that's not just only a problem here. It's a problem everywhere in 2020.
We kind of say the same thing about Cassidy every week. We kind of kill him. But, I mean, if they want to keep putting him on TV for us to grill, we'll have at it. The next segment, there's a contract signing, supposedly, between AEW champion Jon Moxley and challenger Kenny Omega for their title fight on December 2nd on AEW Dynamite. While they were about to start the whole contract signing, they found Moxley unresponsive backstage in the hallway. Omega then signed the contract by himself, and he didn't seem too excited on the mic about his upcoming title shot. I don't even know what he said. He just mumbled something into the mic. He signed it and said to Tony Khan, "I'm sorry, he's not here," and he left.
Winter is coming.
At least say something. Moxley might not be there, but at least have Omega say something, at least.
Are there more weeks with or without mystery attacks on AEW Dynamite?
I think with every week, they tend to do those whodunit type of things. Those are good when you do them once in a while, but when you're doing them every
single week. Well, you know what? Just as we continue this review, the Goodwill ambassador Quincy Rastani has entered the area after his trip to Shaw's. I'm sure Quincy he'll do a run-in before the end of the podcast to wish the fans a happy holidays. But let's continue with this show. Yeah, the mystery attacker I have zero interest in. I think it takes away from the focus of the Omega and Moxley match, which is they're building up as something special.
This is probably the most boring and quickest contract signing, not even for just a world title, for any title.
Any contract.
Any contract signing. We'll see who attacked Moxley in weeks to come. I'll tell you, it better pay off after a boring segment like that.
Yeah.
They were building it up for days, And then, Moxley's attacked. Omega gets on the mic, mumbles something into it, and then just walks to the back. And Tony Schiavone didn't even know what to do. He said, "Back to you guys." And they went to commercial or something.
That was about it.
It was a contract signing that no one seemed to care about. You know what they might do? Moxley didn't sign the contract, so maybe they're going to prolong the match even longer.
Well, I would like that, but I don't know if they have the patience to go all the way to the February pay-per-view with it.
Well, maybe they do 2 delays. Maybe they do one where Moxley's attacked, they postpone the match, then maybe they postpone it again until the December or February one. We'll see. Maybe they'll call us until February.
You know what I'd like? You know what I'd do? I'll throw out a little Dan Mirade creativity. The night of the big match, they show Ambrose coming in all banged up, injured from this mystery attack, still gung-ho on defending the title against Omega, but right before they start this championship encounter, you know what happens?
He gets attacked again.
Omega is taken out by a mystery assailant, and then they have to delay the match this time because the challenger can't compete. Really build it up. Why? Who is this person taking out not only the champion, but the number 1 contender?
You know who it might be?
I have no
Glantz.
Maybe we've been
We
waiting
haven't
for
seen him in a
Glantz.
little
Maybe that's
while.
what happened. Maybe he's down at Daly's place.
Attacking people backstage.
Well,
I don't know. We go back to Las Vegas with the Inner Circle. Again, the comedy wasn't really there. And the thing I really didn't care for, which I knew they were going to do it as soon as they announced this segment or whatever they were going to do, was I knew they were going to do the Hangover spoofs. I knew they were going to do some stupid hangover jokes from the movies they did, and it really didn't make it any better to me. At least they got that Hornswoggle cameo in where he pretended he was a baby and crying in the hotel room to make fun of when they did the Hangover movie where they had a baby in the closet or whatever in the hotel room, and it wasn't for me. I'll just say that. What did you think of the final segment of Las Vegas?
well, as I noted on the review show last week, I had a feeling we were going to get a reenactment of the Hangover in some way, shape, or form. I thought the stuff they did that was not Hangover-esque was better than the attempt at comedy. Hangover is one of my favorite movies. Las Vegas is one of my favorite cities, but I thought the second version of this skit fell very, very, very flat when the first one was at least watchable and a little bit of fun. It's not something I want to see on a wrestling show on a regular basis, but it was good to get them out of the arena and do something a little bit different. I think one of those segments was more than enough, and I would have gone with the first one. As the second one, I did not enjoy. I did not need to see Baby Woggle. But
Yeah, the first one was solid. It's okay to watch, but then the second one kind of just put it over the top, and
all right.
I had enough at that point.
More than enough.
Yes. The next match, Pac defeated the Blade. Couple of sloppy parts of the match, but Pac hasn't had a match in over 8 months, so you can blame that on ring rust. After the match, Pac tried to call out Eddie Kingston at the commentary table, but got attacked by Butcher and the Blade from behind. Rey Fenix then came out to attack the 3 men by himself to help out Pac. Then Penta El Zero Miedo came out to help Phoenix and Pac to even the odds. Looks like we're going to have a 6-man tag match next week or the week after. The Death Triangle is finally back together, and now they're going to challenge. I think they're calling themselves the Family. I have no idea why they're a family and how they became a family, but they're a family. Nonetheless, what did you think of this match?
Not much.
I thought it was a little long, to be honest.
I think they would have been better off if maybe they promoted it as happening next week to make Pac's return match a little bit of interest, even going against a guy like Blade. It was nothing exceptional for his return match. If the point of it was to give Pac a decisive win, that's fine. But it was nothing to write home about. You had Eddie Kingston on commentary. He sounds like a guy you'd be sitting next to at an MSG house show in the 80s. Of course, you had to have the run-in in every match this week, so Butcher ran in after the match. Kingston cut a promo about his family that I still don't understand how it came together. Rey Fenix came in. He couldn't explain why the family came to be because he doesn't speak English, apparently. He tried to fend off the villains. Penta came out with the chair. Jim Ross was confused. Never mind the fans. Penta saved Phoenix and Pac. The Death Triangle is back together. I didn't even remember them being together. And now they're going to feud with another faction that I have no idea why they are in unity, but in unity they are.
The next match, Serena Deeb defeated Thunder Rosa to retain the NWA Women's title. Okay women's match. Nothing great. After the match, Rosa attacked Britt Baker while walking to the back. Their altercation was started on social media, I believe. That's what commentary said. So I guess that's how every single feud starts nowadays, is some bullshit on Twitter going back and forth. Just another women's match, I guess you could say. Nothing really to talk much about. What did you think about it?
I wish it wasn't on, but you know what? It was. Of course, you had to have a run-in. While Reba distracted the referee, good old Dr. Britt Baker came out. The interference meant nothing, as Rosa went on to still have a competitive match until she lost. Why bother with the interference if it's not going to lead to the finish? It's overdone. Then Baker came back again after the match. Rosa got a little bit of revenge within a matter of minutes. It was way overdone. I do not understand how there are not people in production meetings that point these simple things out to add a little bit more logic and realism to the presentation of it. And I won't even, I know you didn't put it in the notes, but I mean, that brawl they had before the women's match, other than Vicky Guerrero, I didn't know anyone that was even in it. It was just a bunch of women. It looked like 2:15 in the parking lot of a nightclub before COVID times. I didn't understand what it was, why it happened. No one explained who they were, what was happening. It was just another waste of time.
At least they didn't showcase the woman on AEW as NXT did. We'll get into NXT a little bit, but they had
certainly will.
They had a lot of women on that show. The main event, Brian Cage and Ricky Starks defeated Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin. It was a good main event tag team match. I thought it was solid. After the match, of course, we had to do it. After the match, Starks and Cage attacked Rhodes and Allin, but Will Hobbs came out to save them, but not so quick, because he ended up turning on Cody and Darby and joining Team Taz. AEW, I don't know how many factions or groups they have right now. They have at least 10, I would say. At least 10. You got, I don't even want to go through them of how many they have, because I'm too many. But what did you think of this main event match?
Well, you know, it's like I usually say about this show. There are some segments they have that are exceptional. There are some segments that are so bad they don't belong on national television. This was a great main event, I thought. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Cage might have the size. He might look better in an 8x10 promo photo, but Ricky Starks is a guy I'd groomed to be one of the top heels in the company. Unfortunately, they couldn't leave well enough alone with this main event. They had to have a run-in in every single match this week. And Will Hobbs, I mean, that heel turn was telegraphed, I think, to the surprise of no one. The match itself was very good. The heel turn at the end, it wasn't all that bad, I guess. It was just expected once you saw the way it was being executed. It was a great main event to end what I'd kind of call a lackluster episode. I don't know why they have to have a run-in in every single match. And half of them lead to nothing.
Yeah, and then it's a cheap way to set up future matches. You just throw someone out there, hey, go attack so-and-so, and you'll do a match next week. And that's a cheap way to get feuds over. And it just, when you do it occasionally, okay, it works. But when you're doing it every single match.
Every match on the show this week had a run-in.
Every match, just anytime they start a feud, it has to be done by just a run-in.
Plus a mystery attacker. Another one. I just, those are the things I don't like about AEW. There are a lot of things to like. Again, as John Cena Sr. and I have discussed on his Wrestling Inside of Fabulous Fridays, you got to remember, this is still a brand new company. It is only just over a year old. There's a learning curve there for them to have found the success that they have after 1 year. The TNT has extended their contract several years as a coup to the hard work they've put in, but there are just small things they could do to make their show so much better than it is already, and I think it would appeal to more people than it does now. But again, that's one man's opinion.
Yes. We'll go into our grades now of AEW. I gave it. See, this is another thing. I can go half on this one, but I gave it a 3 out of 10. I could have gone. I had it at a 4 after I watched the show, and then I watched NXT, and I don't want to talk too much about that. But then I was kind of thinking about both shows, and I kind of weigh them with each other. I can go up to a 4 with AEW.
You got to pick one number. You can't fluctuate. One number.
I can truly give it a 3.5, but you don't like
no.
No.
You have 10 numbers to pick from. You have to narrow it down to one.
That's why I gave it. That's why I said 3.
You're going with 3. All right. I liked it, I guess, a lot more than you did because of the opening segment that I liked. I liked the ambiance of Las Vegas, at least in the first segment that they did. I enjoyed the Dean Ambrose promo. I thought the main event was stellar. I thought, as much as I detest Orange Cassidy, I thought it was one of the better matches he'd had with Kip Sabian, who I enjoy an awful lot. I actually gave it a 6. A reluctant 6, as I was leaning towards 5, but I said, you know what? I'll go with the hard work on those folks. This week they get the higher grade from old Marty, 6 out of 10.
Thing is, I look at the show and the things I liked took up about 20 to 25 minutes of the show, and all the things I didn't like outweighed the stuff that I did like, and it took up much more of the show.
Well, you know what? That's actually a fair grade you gave it then. If it was about a half an hour of the show you enjoyed, a 2.5, 25%, rounded up to a 3, you gave it the right grade in your opinion.
That's kind of how I look at it. Is how many segments?
Fine. No, I respect that.
I'm just saying, I go by how many segments did I like and how much time did it take up of the show. You can have 2 amazing segments, but if they take up a half hour of the show and 90 minutes of it is just you looking at your watch, I mean, did you really enjoy the show that much? You know, that's kind of how I look at it as we move into our news and notes of all elite wrestling.
What do we got, Socko?
AEW, they tend to love to announce almost every single thing, which I have no problem with that. I'm not saying I have a problem. I just think it's funny. Every single week, they announce almost every single segment that's going to happen the next week. Chris Jericho and Jake Hager will face SCU next Wednesday on AEW Dynamite.
It's a big one.
Also, and I actually wrote an NXT Women's title. That would be AEW Women's title. Hikaru Shida will defend her AEW Women's title against Anna Jay next week as well.
It's a big one.
Will Hobbs will be in action next week as well.
Wow. It just gets bigger by the announcement.
Matt Sydal has officially signed with AEW.
That's a good signing. That's a good signing. We were very happy to have him here in Boston Wrestling and the MWF last winter in a losing effort to TJP. I hope Matt finds great success in AEW. He's a high-quality talent. He's a good guy.
Brody Lee, if people have been questioning why he's been away from AEW, he's dealing with an ankle injury right now.
Oh,
we hope he gets well soon. We
hope he gets better sooner than later.
Yes. We'll get into our NXT after the break, if you want to take one.
Unbelievable, fans. That's correct. This Sunday night during Survivor Series, we continue the 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlock Cyber Toy Drive with another virtual autograph signing. We're going to be joined L-I-V-E live during the final farewell to The Undertaker with this crazy man, a guy we're going to be seeing at 10 o'clock tonight, a man that likes to keep on rocking, Marty Jannetty. Wrestling fans, the 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive explodes into Christmas with 12 featured superstar guests. We can't bring you a live wrestling event due to COVID restrictions, but we'll be bringing you a series of cyber signings and meet and greets. On Friday night, December the 4th, fans around the corner and around the world can join a man involved in an intercontinental title scandal, as Savio Vega, as well as the man under the mask, is martial arts expert Quang, joins us for a live cyber autograph signing here at MWF Studios. Get a personalized autograph photo from Savio, signed live on the air and mailed to your home. Join us now through mid-December as the superstars help us continue our mission to update Santa Claus's GPS to find every kid's house this Christmas and put smiles on faces while honoring Paul Bearer's memory. VIP packages are still available. Don't worry, if you've missed a live superstar signing, Every star is signing enough photos while they're here in Boston to fill VIP packages through December the 19th. Whether for your wrestling collection or to give as a holiday gift, if you're going to take part in any toy drive this year, please help our 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive. Visit bostonwrestling.com and our social media platforms for complete event and toy drive information. All right, wrestling fans, welcome back. If you have yet to join us in one of our live interviews, you can catch the ones we've conducted with Lio Rush online now, with Tony Atlas online, when they were both live in studio. They both have autograph photos available, and again, it's still not too late to get one of the all-inclusive VIP packages that include an autograph photo from everyone involved. The Elite VIP package also includes a poster that is signed by everybody that's part of the drive. It's a great way to create smiles. It is a great way to help Santa update his GPS as we honor Paul Bearer's memory. 2020 could certainly be a rough holiday for many, and we want to do everything we can in our 9th annual Paul Bearer Drive to do as much good as possible for wrestling fans, where we are such a unique community. I think if you're going to take part in any toy drive, take part in the Paul Bearer Toy Drive. But that's just one man's opinion, but I'm pushing it strongly, Mr. Sacco, as we now look at the November 18th, 2020 WWE NXT from the Capitol Wrestling Center in beautiful, sunny Orlando, Florida.
Kicking off NXT was Leon Ruff and Johnny Gargano, ending in a disqualification after Damian Priest punched Ruff in the face, which means that Ruff got to retain the NXT North American title because titles can't change on a disqualification. This storyline, it's not for me. I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do with this storyline. I mean, if they're trying to do a comedy type of storyline, I haven't laughed 1 second, but I don't know. What did you think of the opening match?
Well, you know what? I was thinking that if we ever finish the Wrestling Insiders series with Lio Rush, maybe we could do Rough Hour with Leon Ruff.
It would be rough, I'll tell you that.
It was fine, I guess is the best way to put it.
I just don't know what to say about it. I don't know what they're trying to do with this.
I didn't enjoy it. I didn't hate it. I guess it was somewhere in between.
I don't know. As we move to the next match, again, Dexter Lumis and Cameron Grimes ended in a no contest. I don't think anybody won or lost the match, so I guess it was just a no contest. And it was a blindfold match.
Yeah, that was.
As no one was pinned or submitted. These kinds of matches just don't really work, and I can't see people liking them or really caring at all.
For a blindfold match, I have to throw it out there right now. That's very, very, very difficult to pull off without live fans in the crowd. So, you know what? That's as far as that part of it goes. As far as the drama, I guess you can't blame Lumis and Grimes for that. Blindfold matches can be pretty hit or miss. They're usually missed to begin with. But without having the fans trying to guide you left, or right, or behind you or in front of you, you know, without that element of drama to it, I don't know why they'd book a blindfold match with no audience because, you know, I guess the fans were blind, but a different story for a different time.
The two ended up taking off their blindfolds after the referee was taken out by Grimes accidentally, which defeats the whole purpose of the match and why they did it. I don't know why you'd book the blindfold match just to have them take them off 2 minutes into the match and have it end in a no contest, which it got really nowhere. No storyline development. Nothing came out of the match. It was kind of just whatever. I almost
wish I had a blindfold on.
Yes.
No, it wasn't that bad, but
I don't know. I
would have saved that for a time when there were fans.
Yes. The next match, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell defeated Kaden Carter and Casey Catanzaro. Not many notes for this match.
No.
What did you think?
Not much. No, I was glad it ended.
Yes. The next match, Kushida defeated Arturo Ruas. Ruas was actually drafted to Raw over a month ago. I guess the paperwork never went through.
They're still trying to finalize the signature on the contract, apparently.
Yeah. It was a quick technical style match, which was actually good. What did you think of it?
It wasn't a match of all that great importance, but you know what? The guys went out there and they had a pretty solid match. I enjoyed watching it. I don't know if we're going to see the man ever make it to Raw, but I'm not going to lose sleep either way, to be honest with you. But for what they did, Kushida always goes out there and has a good match. I don't understand why he dresses up as Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future, but maybe I'll understand that someday.
Like Marty McFly.
Is there a reason for that? Do you understand it?
I think he's just a fan of Back to the Future, I believe. And
well, I guess that explains that then.
The next match, Toni Storm and Ember Moon defeated Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez via roll-up.
Yeah.
After the match, I don't know how many times between AEW and NXT, how many matches ended clean? 1, 2, 3?
A roll-up is a clean finish.
But when there's a distraction and then the roll-up, I don't consider it clean. And yeah, you're pinning them, but is it 100% clean? After the match, of course, Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae attacked Storm and Moon, and they had help from Kai and Gonzalez. What did you think about this match?
Well, I was glad it ended. Seemed like there was a lot of women's action on NXT this week. None of it particularly good, but, I think Toni Storm is someone that has got a lot of potential as she continues her career in the king of sports professional wrestling. I don't think the accent will even hold back the amount of talent that she has. I see big things for her as her career continues to progress. As far as what was on TV last night, not much. Instead of Dakota Kai, I would have rather have seen Leilani Kai, but that's just me.
The next match, Timothy Thatcher defeated August Gray. After the match, Tommaso Ciampa came out to stop Thatcher from beating up on Gray even more. Tommaso ended up running Thatcher out of the ring without even touching him. He scared Thatcher so much he just had to get out of the ring. He was just so imposing. It was a solid match between these two guys. It seemed NXT was very wrestling oriented this Wednesday night. Instead of building things up, they kind of went with the more wrestling playbook. What did you think of this match?
The match itself was fine, short, sweet, and to the point. At the end of the segment, I looked at it, I said, geez, August Gray, he's been here in this fine studio. Tommaso Ciampa, he's been here in this fine studio. Those types of things make me proud. When we have, never mind the stars that come in, but the young independent talent that you try and keep an eye out for that are better than others to try to book, and they go on to the national spotlight, so to speak. So good for them. The match itself is fine. I think they're doing a good job building up Timothy Thatcher as someone that is a danger and a threat.
The next segment, as Damian Priest was making his entrance for his scheduled match, he was attacked by Johnny Gargano out of nowhere. Then the two of them brawled until Leon Ruff came out to join the party. I smell a future triple threat title match for the NXT North American title. Again, the theme of the Wednesday Night Wars tends to be attacks after every match, altercations after every it even happens in the main roster too with WWE. It just seems like every match or every segment, there tends to be a run-in or someone attacking someone or some type of at least an altercation.
I think the formula comes from the Monday Night Wars back in the 90s, but there is a difference. During the Monday Night Wars back in the 90s, the stars of WWF and WCW were actually over with the fans. Those that are watching NXT now, it's a relatively new program. Those that are watching AEW, it's a relatively new program. The casual fan has no idea who the majority of these people even are. They need to be developed more. Again, it's the two Ps that I always talk about. What wrestling promotions need to look at to try and grow what they're doing is pacing and patience. And there is none of it when you have literally a run-in in every single match.
Yeah.
Not even most. Every single match.
Yeah. What did you think of the brawl between Priest and Gargano and Ruff? You think we're going to get a triple threat title match in the near future?
It was so wild, I was ready to go down to Orlando and try and break it up myself.
Yeah, well, they had enough, I guess. The next match, Io Shirai defeated Rhea Ripley to retain the NXT Women's title. A solid women's match. Thought it was one of the better ones that NXT's put on. I didn't really like the ending to the match when Shirai hit the moonsault off the top rope onto Ripley's legs. I thought, if you're going to it wasn't really a mess-up ending, but it was just, if you're going to put someone away, why do a moonsault? I mean, I know she messed up on her part and hitting the legs and not her body. But I would have gone up to the top rope and redone it. But that's
Well,
just
they
me.
were alive after all, but
No. I'm saying like go back up. Even though it's live, you could still go back up to the top rope and hit a second one to just make it look better. What did you think of the match?
You know what? I have to take my hat off to these two ladies. And, I'm not the world's biggest women's wrestling fan, but if they can go out there and work that style of a match, I'm all for it. One women's match a week. They went out there, and it's a compliment to say they went out there and worked like two of the boys. They went out there and worked stiff. I thought it was pretty good.
It was one of the better women's matches I've seen in a long time. So, as you said, hats off to them if I was wearing one. But I don't even have my socks on either. So, what closed the show was Finn Balor coming out to address the state of the NXT title. He was interrupted by Pat McAfee and his goon squad. As Balor and McAfee argued, the Undisputed Era returned to confront Pat McAfee and his friends. They brawled all over the place to close NXT. It was then announced earlier today, however you want to say it. War Games is back on December 6th. That NXT TakeOver will now be the annual War Games show. Pat McAfee, Pete Dunne, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch will face Undisputed Era at NXT War Games on December 6th, which we will be doing a live watch-along in just a few weeks. I'm not a fan of this War Games crap. It reminds me of how they do Elimination Chamber and Hell in a Cell and TLC. It's just another forced pay-per-view that you're handcuffing yourself to. It's just unoriginal and unorganic, and it's just forced. You knew at some point McAfee and his little friends were going to face Undisputed Era in the War Games match. It was telegraphed for weeks and weeks, so you kind of knew it was coming. But what did you think of the Finn Balor little promo and the brawl afterwards that ensued?
I'm happy that my buddy Finn is back. I hope his jaw is healing with all of the steel plates he had to have put in it. As far as that McAfee faction goes, it's still, I guess, growing on me. I don't think he's the world's greatest mouthpiece, but there's three great talents in it. And I disagree with you. I like War Games. I used to enjoy it when it was an NWA and WCW. Do they handcuff themselves to it by having it a certain time every year? To some degree, but you know what? If you actually have pacing and patience and long-term booking, you're able to book with it climaxing at that pay-per-view. I'm a big fan of having a men's War Games match. I think having the women's War Games match is atrocious. Just like I've said in the past, there's no need for it, but they have to be politically correct in 2020 and give everybody the equal opportunity, even if there aren't a lot of fans dying to see another women's War Games match. But the men's one, I think, should be really good.
The match itself, I don't mind, but when it's at the same time every year, you know it's coming up.
Well, it's also called tradition.
But Survivor Series, I like that tradition. Or the Royal Rumble being in January every year, WrestleMania being at the same time. But when you have four guys feuding against usually they do it in November before Survivor Series. When you see a group of four guys each fighting each other in like September or October, you know the War Games match is coming up.
Well, that's the gimmick.
Yeah, but
if they just decided to take 8 guys at random and throw them together, you'd be knocking that. For them to actually put together 2 factions of 4 to prepare to do battle in the War Games, that's the way it should be done.
Oh no, I'm not saying do it the random way. I'm saying don't do it not at all, but do it when you're supposed to. Don't just do it every November and say, "Oh, here comes War Games. Let's put these 8 guys together and we'll throw them in the War Games just so we can get our annual pay-per-view done."
That's tradition. That's the way it should be done.
They've been doing it for 3 years.
Well, that's the way it should be done.
I don't like when it's done at the same time every year. It feels unoriginal to me. I'd want stuff done organically and not just the same time every year, because then it just feels repetitive at that point.
I think you could knock the fact, again, that there's a women's War Games match. I think you could knock the fact that there's more than one War Games match on the show. I think one is suffice to try and sell what they're trying to get across. But again, we live in that PC world. But no, I have no problem with them doing it at the same time each year. That's the way it was always done in WCW and the NWA. So, I mean, it's the tradition of it.
The way
You build up to it, that's all.
That's great. You can build up to it, but when you're doing it at the same time every year in the same exact way, I'm talking about as a fan right now. I don't really like how it's done. I don't like the same bullshit done at the same time every year and in the same ways. It's not interesting to me. But we'll get into our grades now of NXT. I ended up giving the same grade to both shows. I gave a 3 out of 10.
Wow, you really hated Wednesday wrestling this week.
When there's nothing good, and the opening segment, Ruff and Gargano sucked. Loomis and Grimes, I could care less about in that blindfold match that ended up going nowhere. Then they did a women's tag team match I could care less about. Kushida and Arturo, that was a solid match, but it was only, 6 minutes, if that?
I didn't have the stopwatch out, believe it or not.
Then they did another women's tag team match. Then they did Thatcher and Gray, which was solid, which also was only about a 10-minute segment. Then they did Priest and Ruff and Gargano doing another thing that took up more time, another feud that I don't really care about. Then they had a solid women's main event, and then they had that stuff to end the show that they forced in to the last 3 minutes of the show.
Wasn't their best effort. But not every week is going to be a home run. You don't watch 162 Major League Baseball games over the course of the year and win every one of them, I guess, is the best way to look at it.
No, but when it's just, Thatcher and Gray, solid, but how long was it? 8 minutes, and then 6 minutes from Kushida and Arturo. So, and then the good main event. So, what was it, 30 minutes of the show I particularly cared for? So, and the rest of it was, I wouldn't say unwatchable, but something I really didn't care for. Something
You'd never want to watch it again.
I would never tune in for it, and I would never watch it on repeat.
It'd be deleted from the DVR awfully quick.
It's already deleted.
Well, there you go. See, there you go. There you go. You figure you did it easily then.
Yeah.
I would. This week, I kind of battled this one even more than my rating for the other show. I gave this one a 4, almost like what you said. There were a few bright spots, but there were a lot of low spots. To me, there was just way too much women's wrestling. There was some other efforts that didn't exactly get over in my book, but that's just one man's opinion. I'm always interested to see what the fans think. On the chat during the live premiere, they can give us a 1 to 10 for AEW and NXT. And for those fans that are not joining us during the premiere, they can always leave it in the comments section below. 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What did you think of AEW and NXT?
Just 2 news and notes here for NXT.
All right, what do we got?
Aleister Black recently asked to go back to NXT, but was denied that request to go back down.
That would be a blessing for him.
It would be very good. The next little tidbit here.
I hate to say it, but the best thing that ever happened to Tommaso Ciampa was him breaking his neck. Because if they kept him and Johnny Gargano on the main roster when they brought up Ricochet and Black, the two of them would be in the same position those two are right now. And it's almost purgatory for great talents. Again, as I've said many, many times, I think Ricochet should be groomed as the Rey Mysterio for the next decade. But it is what it is. As far as Black goes, I guess he's back hiding in his room waiting for someone to knock on the door, waiting for his next fight. I don't know.
Well, I tell you who won't be knocking. That's Zelina Vega.
All right. Well, there could be some knocking going on, but not on TV.
Well, maybe back at home.
Exactly.
The next little tidbit, Kevin Owens will be a guest commentator next week on NXT.
Oh, wow.
Since Wade Barrett won't be there. I'm sure we'll get some stupid, goofy comedy from him with Vic Joseph and Beth Phoenix, which commentary next week will not be listenable.
Maybe I'm the only person in the world. I'm not the world's biggest Kevin Owens fan. The comedy to me is kind of, the wrestling, he can have some solid matches, but just his physical presentation takes away from it for me. My eyes don't get a lot of enjoyment from what he does. And I certainly am not interested in hearing him on commentary, but again...
No, neither am I. We can guess, or you can guess, the viewership for this week.
All right, which one do you want me to do first?
AEW.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of what they promoted. They did the Big Inner Circle thing.
Pac and Blade.
They advertised that ahead of time?
Yeah, they announced it last. Remember Kingston and Pac were brawling last week, and then all of a sudden they just go, Pac will face Blade next week. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching.
No, I really don't. I don't remember that, believe it or not. I'll say 750.
850.
All right, well.
It was a good week for them.
In the bowl, yeah.
And then NXT.
Jeez. Did they promote Finn's return?
Yes. And the women's title match.
Yeah. 650.
638,000.
Oh, well, there you go.
Got beat by over 200,000, which that's a good night for AEW. And AEW, they did really good.
The funny thing is, I don't consider that to be a big difference. I mean, again, this comes from a fan base that wasn't around during a real cutthroat, vicious, I want to destroy you and put you out of business war. This
for the numbers
to
they
me,
get,
this
that's
is
a
kid
lot.
stuff. A couple
for the
of
numbers,
but those are the numbers that are in the same ballpark that they do every week. When you see,
no. I know. I'm just saying, but 250,000 between the two. I mean, when 250,000 is almost half of what NXT got. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm not saying the difference isn't that much, but when you look at the total number of viewers each of them get, take away 250,000 from just NXT, they would have what? 400,000 viewers last night. So 250,000 overall, no, it's not that much. But considering how many viewers they get, if they were getting 20 million viewers and the difference was 250,000, no, that's not that much. But considering they're both usually under 800,000, a difference of over 200,000, that's a good amount given, the numbers they have individually.
I guess the best way to put it is that neither one was unexpected. Both of those numbers are within the realm of what they normally do.
Yeah, I mean, AEW, they had a really good week. I think they bumped up, I forget what the percentage was, but they had a healthy bump. NXT actually went down, and AEW had a good week for the demographics, too. They did killer in that, which is also a good thing to have.
Well, I think AEW did a better job promoting what they were going to do this week. I think they generally do. I think maybe they announced too many segments some weeks, but you know what you're going to get sometimes as opposed to NXT, which is just a little bit more of a straw grab at times.
Yeah, that's the thing that I was talking about before. I don't mind AEW announcing what they're doing ahead of time, but when you're announcing the entire show the week before, I mean, maybe do 2 or 3 things. Sometimes they announce 4, 5, sometimes 6 things, Will Hobbs in action. Okay. Is that going to make me tune in next week? No. If anything, it might make me tune out. I mean, do I really want to see Will Hobbs and then all the other crap? Not really. Just
I don't know. Well, it was another interesting week, fans. If you want a show that you are not going to forget anytime soon, at 10 p.m. it is Wrestling Insider's Party with Marty as Marty Jannetty's sex, drugs, and rock and roll no-holds-barred look at wrestling in the 80s and 90s continues. We have fun each and every week. If you are watching the premiere of the AEW and NXT review, just head back on over to the homepage, and you can head right into Marty at 10 o'clock. If you are watching this in the archives, you can watch Marty and all of our great programming, more than 2,000 plus free videos. We thank you for joining us, Matt. Any final thoughts before we go? We're running out of time, baby. Quincy is not within earshot. I wanted a happy holidays.
Oh, I was just about to say I'd want a happy Thanksgiving from Quincy, but I guess I can't get that tonight.
I heard Quincy coughing a few moments ago, but I don't know where he went.
Well, let's hope he's okay.
Well, it's been a few weeks now since we've had his run in. I'm a little disappointed, but I guess it is what it is. We'll have something to be thankful for when he's back, right?
Yeah, maybe next Thursday if we do a show. Probably not.
All right, well, for the Prodigy Matt Degnan, I'm Dan Mirade, folks. We'll see you at 10 o'clock for Wrestling Insider's Party with Marty. Be well. Wrestling fans, the 9th annual Paul Bearer Holiday Headlocks Toy Drive Cyber Fanfest explodes into Christmas with interactive cyber autograph signings, live interviews, raffles, merchandise, and more. We were excited to bring you a wrestling event here in Boston, but we have the ability to bring a Cyber Fanfest to great fans like you around the world. Recent WWE NXT Cruiserweight Champion Leo Rush kicked off the drive with autographed photos and posters still for sale online. Let's run down the list of remaining Cyber autograph signings where you can get an autograph photo for yourself or to give to a friend or a loved one this holiday. Mail order for your items is also available. On Survivor Series Sunday, November the 22nd, Marty Jannetty will be with us live for a Cyber autograph signing during the Farewell to the Undertaker. You never know what to expect with Marty in studio live. We're back Friday, December the 4th with the veteran former Nation of Domination member Savio Vega, a.k.a. Quang, making a rare appearance in Boston. Things are going to get nasty on Saturday, December the 5th when Brian Knobbs and Jerry Saggs, the Nasty Boys, join us for the very first time. A great chance to get the former WWE and WCW Tag Team Champions signed. Sunday night, December the 6th, WWE Hall of Famer Mr. USA Tony Atlas returns for a Cyber Christmas party during our NXT Takeover Watch Along. Tony will be signing autographs and will also have his art available for purchase. The following Friday, December the 11th, one of the most powerful superstars in wrestling history, the Warlord, joins us live in studio discussing his WWF run beginning in 1988. Saturday, December the 12th, the superstar undefeated for 2 years in the WWF, Native American Tatanka, will be with us supporting the toy drive. Then on Sunday, December the 13th, it's a double feature of future star superstars as recent Ring of Honor Pure Title Tournament competitor Wheeler Yuta joins us in studio for the first time after competing here in Boston Wrestling MWF, along with the man visiting us for the first time in 8 years, the new Impact Wrestling World Champion Rich Swann. And it wouldn't be Christmas without old John Cena Sr. with us live and in person as he's been working the phones on the North Pole. Again, autographs and all-inclusive VIP packages are on sale now at bostonwrestling.com. Help our tradition of updating Santa's GPS to find every kid's home this year while creating smiles and honoring the late, great Paul Bearer's memory. From our family to yours, happy holidays, Merry Christmas.